everyone, and welcome to the American Scouser podcast. Monday night, we are back in action after another miserable weekend. Unfortunately, a lot to talk about. Fall is coming, it's getting a little chilly. I was refereeing this weekend. It's warm one second, windy as cold the other. Yes, it's time to bitch about weather, people. It's coming hard and fast over here where I'll start complaining about weather. But Bickler is with us. Bickler, it must be cold over there. The hood is up today. So
it's starting to chilly a little bit, which is nice. I'm ready for fall.
You are ready for fall.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what the problem is? I don't mind fall. I'm in Chicago. Like fall lasts like 5 hours.
Yeah.
So there lies the problem. I'm okay with fall. I just know that the moment it starts, winter is gonna come right after it.
I do miss like full real seasons here. We have like almost a dry and a wet season, and fall is really just it's starting to cool down and get damp, and like the leaves don't change color, they just fall off and die.
If only there was a place where they had 4 seasons and I hadn't left it for good. One wonders. Like Istanbul, for example. Gally's here. What's happening?
Well, coming from a place that has 4 seasons, but we find a way to bitch about all 4 of them, New England will give you what you need in Istanbul. Let me tell you right now. You get the foliage, you get winter, you get spring mud, and you get bitching about summer like you live in the South, even though you're just a pasty white person from New England. But it was a good weekend outside of the Liverpool match. It was a good time. We had fun in New York, and I'm sure we'll probably touch on it at some point or another here and along this ride. But yeah, we survived the weekend, but it was not exactly fun.
That's right. You guys were at New York, back to Carragher's. People were like, hey, he's back. Back to Carragher's with Kazi for 5 hours. We were talking with Bickler as you were trying to fix your microphone. I mean, we don't know who to feel worse for, aside from Kelly, probably, who got 10 hours combined, which is probably feels like 100 hours.
No chance. I literally said about 35 words because
really?
I had 3 things to do. I had to listen to Kazi. I had to mitigate fallout as he used the fucking cunt word every 5 seconds around children.
That tracks.
Yeah, that slaps all the way across all things. And to be fair though, he wasn't the only one. I also had to work through our good friend Michael, who realized about halfway through the match that I was the guy who did the 24-hour podcast, even though I said hi to him as soon as I walked in. And he was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. He had small talk with me. He had small talk with me like we knew each other. So I thought, he knows who I am. Then I had to tell him who I was. Then, of course, he realized Kazi had a Liverpool accent and therefore felt he was the only person that was worth talking to at our table for the rest of the day. So, yeah, there was that. So we'll see if we go back, to be honest. Bathrooms, still as bad as they were when we were there overnight. Overall atmosphere.
What was wrong with the bathrooms when we were there overnight? I didn't have a problem.
I mean, other than the fact that the 3 of us could fill the entire thing and they had 700 people there yesterday to watch a football match.
Well, yeah, that's the problem. When we were there, we were the only ones there, I guess.
And I will say this, the place wasn't full. They had long lines and all these things, and it wasn't exactly the same thing as I remember hearing all the stories about. It was a great time. We had a really good day. They were a great host. Kazi and I each came about 5 people away from winning the raffle prize, which was like a signed Jordan Henderson jersey. I realize they give out jerseys every single match there, which is probably a good reason to go. Kelly and I were there the night before to see the karaoke, and it was just as bad as it was the Friday night or the Saturday night we were there.
You mean good?
We had a really, really good time. But I will say this: anyone who loves food, if you've never been to like a real deal like food festival, you should go to one, because we went to the New York City Food Festival Saturday night. It's put on by like the Food Network people. But the food itself, the drink, the food was unbelievable. And I sent Bickler the picture. Like the backdrop was the Brooklyn Bridge lit up on the water. And like, you can't ask for a better place to be at a food festival. So like, we did this whole like anniversary weekend. We'll be in New York. We'll go to this food festival. We'll drink all night long, and we'll go watch Liverpool play Man United. What could go wrong? Let me tell you what. 4-hour fucking train ride home after that dismal display. That's what can go wrong, let me tell you.
Yeah, it was kind of brutal. I got to watch the first half, then the game started that I was refereeing, so I was kind of like following through the phone. The worst thing is I had to watch the second half just to be able to talk about it afterwards, knowing the results. Normally, if it wasn't for
I apologize.
yeah, I would just like put that away and never look back at it aside from the highlights or something like that. But a lot to talk about. Not a lot of it good. Some crazy takes over there outside, so we'll try to fight the good fight over here and stuff. But let's start with this. I mean, compared to everything else, this might be the highlight and the best thing we do tonight, even for you fellas over here.
First time I've ever actually been excited for the trivia segment.
Here we go. BJ sent this to us, so it's good to hear. First of all, it's great to hear from BJ. He's alive and well, so that's a good sign by itself, and well enough to send us trivia again. So it's a good one, a tough one, has nothing to do with recent fixtures. He actually said it, hey, when you can use it, then let's use it right away. 4 Premier League clubs against which Liverpool won both season matches, home and away, in 10 or more seasons. 4 clubs we beat home and away, basically swept the series, as they say over here.
In the history of the Premier League.
In the Premier League, yes. Before,
okay.
Nice job. Good job, Bickler.
That little ditty.
Bickler, do you have any qualifying questions for this trivia before we get started?
You guys are being awful fucking smarmy for this week. Let's go ahead and get this over with, please.
Okay, 4 teams. Go, Bickler.
Should we do this in tandem? Is this almost like one where we need to do it together? Or there's
it can
no
be
chance
it can be a group project.
Probably. It's 4 teams, so it shouldn't take too. Like, there's only so many guesses you can do.
There's only 116 in the overall division. I mean, it's not that big a deal.
Go for it, Bickler. Start with 1. Some of them are easy.
Sunderland.
Galley. Let's see who gets more. We'll do the contest that way. Every time you guess correct one, you get a point. We'll just go back and forth.
We never did the double against Sunderland.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Leicester City.
I'm assuming that some of these guys were not in the Premier League long enough. Bickler.
Wait,
Newcastle.
It's twice
Newcastle
in 1 year?
is 1.
You're telling me it's a win, a home and away.
Both season matches, home and away, in 10 or more seasons, though. That's the catch.
10 or more seasons. All right.
I mean, that's why there's only 4 teams. Otherwise, it'd be a whole.
Yeah, Leicester was a terrible question because they haven't been in the league that long.
Exactly.
Terrible answer, Chris. I thought you meant like ever. I was like, this makes no fucking sense. I'm getting pissed.
No, Newcastle is actually 11 times, 11 seasons we've done that against Newcastle. Galley, go.
Everton.
Nope. Bickler, go.
Burnley.
No. Hit the post. No, I'm just
So close to the post.
West Ham.
West Ham is 1. Whoa, we're tied, baby. It's getting tied. 1-1. Bickler, back to you.
Norwich.
That was a good guess. Shelton threw it on there. Never trust Shelton. Nope. Galley. It's a scary guess from the Lord of Brian Shelton.
Villa.
Nope. Bickler, back to you. We're going to run out pretty soon.
Just keep going. We'll get through the whole 60 minutes. We'll get through the whole 60 minutes and we won't have to talk about that shit-ass match.
I'll go Brighton. No, they haven't been up long enough.
Back to you, Galley.
Southampton.
That's a good one.
And he scores 2-1. Bickler, you can tie this up. No way to win this at this point.
I don't know. So much pressure.
I'm sure.
Huddersfield Town. No, I'm just kidding. We did Villa, we did West Ham, we did I don't know. I'm blanking. I don't.
Just say a team.
I mean, Stoke hasn't. Stoke. They haven't been in long enough, though.
No.
Chelsea.
Nope. Back to you, Bickler.
Fuck off.
Manchester.
Don't be mad at me, bro.
No, I'm mad at the question. I'm
gonna go pre-oil Manchester City.
Oh, pre-oil. Nope.
I'll just say United because someone threw it out there, and maybe it is because we played them this weekend. I don't think it would be, but
no. Yeah. Normally, BJ questions will be revolving around the previous or the afterwards schedule, but no, this is a freebie. This is totally independent.
Frankfurt. No, I'm just kidding. It's on you, Bickler.
Spurs
it is, and he ties it in the last second, Liverpool style. Yes, 2-2. So Newcastle 11 times, West Ham 11 times, Southampton and Spurs 10 times. I think Hassan had that in there, but nobody had faith in poor Hassan. He threw that out there a while back, but nobody bid on that one. So yes, Newcastle, West Ham, Southampton, Tottenham. Damn it. Now we have to talk about the game. Our time is up for trivia. I might have some stashed away, but unfortunately we have to talk about the game. So let's talk about this, Bickler. There's a ton going around online, like as always, ridiculously over the top reactions. While things don't look pretty, let me ask you this. Would it be as ugly if Gakpo hits the post and those balls go in instead? Like, was it the play? Was it how? Is it how we're playing overall, like what we're creating, or is it ultimately the results we're getting? I guess.
Sure, that's some of it. I think it's definitely both. I think it's the way we're playing, but I think it's ultimately the result. I don't think the reaction's what it is if we come away and we win. You know, we walk away 3-2 or whatever. I mean, I think goals change matches too. And the bottom line is, I think the main problem is that this is a team that has lost games by conceding on the first shot of the game 3 games in a row. And I think ultimately, like that puts, like, to me, that's a mentality problem. And that's my biggest thing. I think like you got a lot of moving parts. And I think everybody needs to be a lot more patient and understand that this is the transition year we thought last year was going to be. Like, this is it. We got all new players, essentially. He's betting all this stuff in. He's betting in new philosophies instead of tweaking existing ones. Like, this is the transition year. But I think the problem is we've come out in 3 games and the first shot has gone in the back of the net, and we've never recovered mentally.
And honestly, we had this disease for the longest time under Klopp, right? We would concede the first goal, but even if it's not the first shot, as like Bickler is saying, Gally, we would always concede the first goal. We're like, why do we always concede first and stuff? I mean, when you compare this team to the last season, you know, we had so many games. You go back and watch the highlights from last season, especially in the beginning of the season, like the first 10, 12 games. I think the easiest game is when we had the American Petting Zoo away at United 3-0. Aside from that, it was like 1-0, 2-0, and the slot special became 2-0. The biggest difference is, obviously, this year we're conceding goals. So even if we score the 1, doesn't matter if the other team scores 2, 2, 2, 2, and stuff like that. Why are we conceding more goals, I guess? I mean, I know set pieces is the like obvious answer, but there has to be more to it than that.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, it's individual mistakes. I think you can almost chalk up every goal scored this season against Liverpool down to either poor marking on set plays or defensive structure. You're the center back, so I'll let you decide whether it's bad individual mistakes or it's just like a concept of how we're defending set pieces or individual errors leading up to goals. And we saw more of them in this match. Like, first of all, 60 seconds in, you can't concede to a team who came to set up and park the bus.
Yep.
Like, they basically gave them an in. Now, we can talk about the refereeing later. We can talk about how the whistle should have been blown. It's a head injury and it has to be called. And it can't be a mistake. There's no mistake. The guy was forced to wear a fucking skull cap for the next 88 minutes.
Yep.
You can't make that mistake. But you know what the real mistake was? Virgil. He had no business coming for the ball.
Yeah.
But he came for the ball because he got so much criticism for selling Kirkes out to dry the week before by not closing down a ball. He decided, I'm just going to come out and I'm not only going to clear the guy out, I'm going to come in hot with an elbow so he knows I'm there. Problem is, he laid the elbow on our most influential midfielder who needed nothing more than to get an elbow by a giant on his own team 5 minutes into the match. And then to top it off, the captain decides, you know what? I'm not only going to clean out one of my own guys, I'm also not going to track back and even make this run into the box. That first goal is 100% on Virgil. on two different fronts. But nobody talks about that today. They talk about the new signings. I've heard more shit on Kirkhead today after once again he gave a good performance. Second half, he was the best player on the pitch, by the way, because the manager finally allowed him to go forward. But we'll get there. But like, all I heard all day was banging on the new guys, banging on. We started the exact same 11 we started at Chelsea, and we're shocked we got the same result.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I'm ready to call out the manager for some mistakes. I think we really need to be calling out the players. And unlike most, I'm not ready to call out the new guys. I want to call out the guys who let us down the most. Honestly, they're the two guys we clamored for all last year to get huge extensions. And they let us down in a big way.
I mean, I don't know about you guys. I really find it hard to look at these games and really single out people. New, old, doesn't matter. Like, I can't look and say...
Really good point.
Yeah, I mean, I can't be like, hey, man, he's really sucking over. It just feels like as a unit, it's not working well. So everybody has a bright moment, a what the hell moment, a bright moment, a what the hell moment. It's just not working as a unit. I mean, this is one of the problems that Brian mentions. The double pivot in name. I feel like Gravenberch is going forward way too much now compared to what he did before, which is nice and cute when he's scoring and he's getting so many more goal contributions, but we have zero balance in midfield. But Bigler, it feels like at least the way I look at it is whenever we concede goals, everybody looks at the back four and the goalie. But I really think you look at our front three right now, the way we started that game with Gakpo, Isak, and Mo, and I would argue that's probably our worst front three in terms of defensive work rates in a long, long time. Because at least you had Diaz. Nunez, as bad as the angles he took, at least he freaking like sprinted. I've always bitched about his pressing, but you had at least Diaz there to kind of like cover up for, Mo's lack of pressing and stuff. I think when you have Gakpo looking the best defender out of your front three, you're just setting up your midfield and back line to fail regardless.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on here to unpack. I think, like, to me, the biggest thing and the biggest answers, I think, lie with the manager and the system itself. Like, the system itself is broken, right? But I think the two most disappointing things this weekend were our players' reaction to how that match unfolded and our supporters' reaction to it as well. Like, that's the crazy thing. I think the number one thing it has to do is the manager has to fix this. But I think the most disappointing weekend thing about this weekend was everything else, everything around it. Because like here, look, like the 400 million pound elephant in the room is the fact that Mo Salah can no longer separate in a front three. He doesn't have the pace for it. But the most disappointing thing is he's not even looking to facilitate chances anymore. Like, it's just shoot first. He's not looking to create opportunities. And the worst part about it is he's not coming back and defending. So you're playing with 10 men when he's out there. Like, the other thing is, like, I'm going to go back in on this because we talked about how we were pretty impressed and happy with Verge's evolution as a captain. To me, he took a step back.
3 weeks in a row, by the way.
3 weeks in a
row.
And like, here's what I can't have. I can't have my captain physically with his head down and then having a go at the new left back who's a kid who essentially was in the, there's like the difference between him and Robbo is that Robbo came in at $8.5 million into a mid team. And this kid was like in the team of the year last year, coming in at 5 times that price tag. And you got a captain next to him who's pointing at him and yelling at him the entire match. Like, I can't have it. Especially because half the times it's Verge's issue because he keeps stepping into the midfield. Now we can have a question and we can have a conversation of, is that a Gravenberch issue? Is that a Gravenberch issue? But either way, that shit's got to get sorted between him and the manager. And it doesn't involve him yelling at our other players, especially the new ones we're trying to like the bet into this squad. And I'm really tired. I'm tired of this conversation having to do with the new players because it has to do with the guys that have been there, that are winning, that have won titles with this side, that are letting this team down massively right now.
Yeah, see, I don't totally agree to that. Like, I know what you're saying, but at the same time, I mean, depends on what he's yelling at him for. I mean, that's the thing, right? We don't know. I mean, depends on what he's yelling at him for. We're going back to, like Mecca says in the comments that, when it's the same mistakes over and over, if it's something discussed and he's still making the same mistake, I mean, he used to scream his head off at Robertson as well. and as a center back, and not only as a center back, he's the general of that back line. It is your job to, just like the goalie is going to bark orders at the guys in front of him, as the leader of the back line as a center back, you are going to bark out orders. I don't have a big problem with him barking out orders, and I don't think, I understand.
Has he ever taken accountability? He's taken no accountability for this slide.
But captain. I mean, what is he going to do in the middle of the game? He's going to be like, "Oh, that's on me, guys." I mean, we're talking about a mid-game right now. I'm talking
Verge
about
is pointing at players during when things lapse. He's pointing at guys and it's being responsible when he's at fault. Like half the times that he's pointing at Kirkaz and stuff are things that he should cover. I was waiting for him to blame Konate. I was waiting for the finger to go up because he was pointing at Konate to cover the run because he saw that he was getting beat because he was like half-assing it back.
And he was way out of position. The issue with it is that no one is keeping Virgil's line. They're not keeping his line right now. No. And in the past, Konate always would. We killed Robertson all last year for being the guy who dropped 2 steps back. This year, it's been Konate a lot, who's been the deepest guy on these attacks that lead to goals. In this match, it's a weird one, right? Konate doesn't keep Virgil's line. Then he drops off, but then he can't make up the pace to make up the space. And at the same time, Virgil decides to clear out a center midfielder so he can try to win a header up 55 seconds into a match that didn't need to be won. There were 2 players in front of him. And once that happens, he is afterwards seen yelling at Kirkaz and Konate when ultimately it's 100% on him. That was the moment for the captain. Now, the worst part is about a minute and a half later, 2 minutes later, when the Lamens guy drops the ball out of the box. And let's be real here. We haven't even got to it. And I don't want to talk a lot about it because when you blame refs and you're playing like shit, you're a weak ass team because that's what losers do. And we're not losers. So I don't want to blame Michael Oliver. But like he had an absolute nightmare of a performance from not stopping the match, not sending the keeper off. It's clear handball outside the box. The guy takes the ball out of his box and drops it and then picks it back up. It's a red card every second of every minute. Come find out today, it's not reviewable if the match official doesn't recognize it on the field. How is that even fucking logical? But we'll stick with it. But Virgil is seen halfway up the pitch fighting with the ref, and they go right down the pitch and almost get a second goal 4 minutes in.
That's why I never understand this whole captain thing. It makes 0 sense. That's why when people have goalies as captains, he's like, how is he supposed to talk to the ref? He's all the way freaking back there. It makes 0 sense.
And I'm not knocking, but my point is he wasn't the only one, by the way, to be fair to him. 4 different Liverpool players were still fighting that this should be a red card. And United is on their way in. And like, I hate to say it, those 4 guys were basically Virgil, Mo, Soboslai. Like, it were our guys.
Yes.
They were the ones. The other guys were like, we're playing United at home. They had fucking heads on a swivel. Like they were the fucking girl in Poltergeist who just fucking, throwing up in 360-degree vomits. Or that was just me listening to Kazi yell at children.
That's probably more that. But I mean, here's my thing. Now, I understand what you guys are saying in terms of like the goal. I mean, yeah, the first goal is definitely on him. Having said that, I really felt when it happened, I'm like, man, if Ali is there, I think he's saving that. And that's just going to happen whenever anybody not named Ali is in goal. So that's not fair on probably Mamardashvili. But, I felt when that happened, I was like, man, Ali comes in and closes that out a lot better. And even though actually Mamardashvili is a bigger dude, I feel like, Ali saves that. But obviously
he gets bigger there. The saddest part is Ali might expect it more right now because he's played behind this defensive unit.
And maybe that,
longer.
yes.
And I don't mean that as a knock. But it's
that's the strength. Really, that's the strength. And honestly, like having watched Mamardashvili against Turkey, I was like kind of like talking about this. He's not as I was actually shocked when he did it last week mid-game against Chelsea when he came out and cleared the ball. That was like a long ball behind the defense. I watched him in Georgia and stuff too. He's not really thrilled about leaving the box and running out and doing all those kinds of things, like even like to clear the ball and stuff like that. And honestly, even coming out for balls. I mean, Turkey did the same thing in the Euros, and they just did the same thing last week in the national break when we went against them in the World Cup qualifiers, where they kind of scored out of like set pieces because he does not come out to kind of like claim the ball, and it was just like free headers for people. Partially, their defending is worse than Liverpool's free kick set piece defending, but that's a different story. But I mean, I go back to, I'm just finding it's difficult to find individuals to blame, because it feels like it's kind of like a collective thing. And that goes back to, I feel like what Mecca is saying, it has to be tactical, Bickler, where something's had to be tweaked, or maybe we got to do more safety first. I was telling Mateusz this morning, you look at the front line, you look at the lineup right now, you look at the players we've signed, it feels like, I mean, you're a FIFA player, like a 12-year-old's ultimate team put together. It's not like the more attackers you throw out there, the more goals you're going to get. And it feels like we are almost going to attacking and leaving the back four on their own islands.
I think there's some tactical stuff there, 100%. I just think that this match was a mentality issue for me. Okay. So the tactical stuff comes into play with the fact that you can't play a high line and continue to come into the mids like that if you are not going to put an emphasis on winning the ball in the final third. And if winning the ball in the final third has to do with that press that we saw there, we're going to lose every fucking game.
Yeah.
Because like that's not any sort of, what Slot did when he came in last year was do really good. He did a really good job of continuing the philosophy of the original Klopp team and just tweaking the tactics in a way that made it sort of more sustainable, right? A little bit safer, a little less suicidal in ways to use an expression. Like, and I think, now he's faced with imprinting his own philosophy, which is very different. And the bottom line is like that he's going to have to defend very differently if this is going to be the system that front line is going to play. And that's tactically, right? You can say all you want about that. The fact is we finished, and I know like we have people that discuss and argue over XG, right? I believe it is a really good statistical way to put this into frame. From an XG standpoint, we were 0.002 worse than we were, which is like barely any difference than the game that we won 7-0, right? So you talk about hitting the frame 3 times. You talk about all 3 players, Isak, Mo, Gakpo, missing goals that they score 95 times out of 100, right? So you factor all of those things in, and you're looking at 5 or 6 easy goals for Liverpool. We probably could have conceded that many too. So I don't know how long you want to go with that argument. My point is, were there tactical issues? For sure. But the thing to me is when you're continually missing those type of opportunities in that way, and your body language is the way that our body language was, because we murdered Manchester United for their body language and we were smoking them, right? After that 7-0, we've won 1 in 6 times with them. 1 in 6. So like we have an ongoing mentality problem in this side right now. And the side needs to get back to some sort of semblance of confidence from a mental standpoint so they can start putting these balls in the back of the net. Tactical, for sure.
But that's my thing when I say tactical, in terms of like, how are we going to, it's one thing to come out there and constantly say, yeah, we keep conceding from set pieces. And I think when, going back to what Mecca was saying earlier, that's when we're like, well, I mean, if we know the problem, let's start on fixing the problem. And I do feel like that's more of a focus deal, as you could see with the second goal.
I don't know that he
defended against Arsenal.
I don't know if this manager knows what it is.
We conceded a set piece in the 87th minute with 7 attackers and 2 defenders on the pitch. Nobody taller than me. Like, we put everything we had at it. That's why we concede that goal. Ekitike gets done dirty because he's forced to fucking cover Harry Maguire, who is honestly the best person for a set piece on the whole pitch. Includes our captain, by the way. And why isn't he actually man marking the most important person?
Well, honestly, that's on Konate. I mean, that goal is on Konate. No. I don't know how you guys are looking for the people.
But the original assignment is on Ekitike, and then he bounces off of him. Konate, you're right. Konate drops off and doesn't go with the player because we play this zone man marking system. But the argument is I have watched 2 weeks ago, Maka was put up against Dan Burn, or in the second week of the year. Maka was face guarding Dan Burn, and you're like, what could go wrong? And
Yeah,
what's
but
going to
we've
go
done
wrong?
that.
In
I
this
mean, other
situation?
teams have done that. I know
No, but-
because we conceded. Everybody talked about that to freaking death, for God's sakes. But go watch a game, see the dudes in front of Van Dijk trying to block him before the second layer of center backs.
Not a knock on Van Dijk. You can defend.
No, I'm just saying that they
My-
fucking do that to Van Dijk as well. That's something that, I mean, you don't have an old like 8-footer guy, so the initial blocking guy that slows him down is usually a smaller guy. When we play Newcastle, it was Guimaraes in front of Van Dijk, for example. I don't put a lot of weight on that. That second goal is Konate now moving up for the second goal, ball coming in. That's all it is. That's really all it is.
I mean, ultimately, we're just going to pass all blame off. Like, this is what it comes down to. These guys.
That's not passing the blame off, Gally. I mean, you're talking about putting the blame on Van Dijk in a goal.
I didn't put it on Van Dijk. What I said is why
Van Dijk should be on, or the setup should be Van Dijk. The setup we had worked if Konate gets his ass back to the line when the line pushes up for the second ball. Because that's what you're taught to do. They're supposed to all push up. So when the second ball comes in, 4 United guys are offside. They are not, because Konate cannot get up fast enough.
I get where you're going. I just feel like this whole thing is we've watched it all year long, where it's always this person on a set piece, it's that person on a set piece, it's this organization here, it's that organization there. If we're gonna keep playing this zonal setup, can you at least take your best defender and get him near the biggest threats? And I don't ever feel like on set pieces he's ever near their biggest threat. And maybe that's them being
smart enough. You can do that with zonal. That's the problem with zonal, I think, because you can't do that with zonal.
I mean, but you start in an area where players follow guys. Like, he's covering a zone in that spot that it always feels like, and I understand they avoid him the same way we avoid him. Like, his opponents avoid him when we're in the center box, right? Like, they try to put their best players. I don't understand how in this world right now with what's happening and how important set pieces are in the game, that honestly, maybe the criminal part is why are we still playing a zonal marking system when ultimately,
I was going to say, you just don't like the zonal marking system, which, you know, I'm halfway there with you, trust me.
I just feel like if you're this much in a struggle, you might say to yourself, we need to just go back to basics and give guys one-on-one contests and tell them to win their battles. Because right now, we are conceding. I think it's 60% of goals scored against us are from set pieces. That's embarrassing. And maybe it is about, like, I've heard people talk about, we were in Discord today. I tried to avoid it because I just didn't want to get negative. But there were people talking about maybe it's the defensive coach that set up. Is it Von Breckhorst or whatever his name is, that the new defensive guy? Is it that we lost Haitanga and ultimately he could challenge Slot last year to be like, as his number 2, to be like, no. Are you really serious? Because we set up yesterday, whether people say it or not, we can talk about 4-2-3-1, all this. We basically set up against United with a 4-1-5. We were playing 4, 1 holder, and 5 attackers. And we decided it would be better to start McAllister as one of those attacking 8s rather than Florian Wirtz, because we wanted to exploit room. I like to believe maybe Haitanga would have said, like, nah, you do. Like, I agree with the setup here, but maybe we should start the $120 million player. Like, Florian Wirtz has come into 3 straight matches as a sub and been arguably the best player on the pitch after he came on and actually created. If I'm him, I'm questioning the manager right now. To Paul's point, he's been saying it for 2 weeks. What was the plan for me? Because you had a plan that sold me to come here instead of Bayern. You realize I could be 11 points up right now in the league?
What was he? I know, like, Batu said this a few months ago. Like, what was the plan that he was sold on? But then whatever that plan was, I don't think it worked. And they're like, hold on, we'll come up with a new plan and we'll call you back. But I mean, my thing is, I understand I don't believe the assistant manager thing, I think, is overblown personally. I know what you mean, but we do this. What was Klopp's assistant that when he left, we were going to fall apart? What was that dude's name?
Zubik.
Yeah. Remember, he's like, he's gone. What are we going to do? Like,
just like he kind of reminded me like he looked really like a very, very angry guy who hadn't decided if he was German or Turkish, but he was going to tell everybody about it once he heard.
Well, he looks like more like I was gonna say angry like Frank, like a taller version kind of a deal. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that is it just too much faith in midfield and McAllister and Gravenberg? And I honestly like Buvak, that's what it is. Thank you, Mecca. But yeah, like when
he knows
left,
his
everybody was
coaches.
What
That
are we
guy
gonna
knows
do?
his coaches.
That guy knows his coaches, but his favorite is Brandon of all time. But you know, he will be like, yeah, he won't like say Brandon 3 times and Mecca shows up. But but here's my thing. Yeah, I mean, that formation by itself is what I'm talking about, Gally. And I think is that Bickler, is that by design, or is that you're counting way too much on McAllister and Gravenberg, who you did last year and it worked, but they both seem to be slightly out of form?
They're slightly out of form. I think it's more than that. I think there's some sort of a listen, like there to me, there's got to be some sort of a change here in like the system itself. When you're talking about wanting to win games to the middle of the park, like it's very clear that he is lessening the sort of dynamic and the importance on attacking from wide positions. He wants to win ball games in possession through the middle of the park, which is fine. However, it's alarming when you look at our best chances yesterday. It came through Isak and Gakpo. They came from passes from Van Dijk and Konate that bypassed the entire midfield. Like that's how we're creating chances. So like, to me, like that's one thing, right? But I know for a fucking fact that this is not what that manager wants to do, and that's the problem.
Yes.
Like if you're the best you are at creating chances is not the way that your manager wants you to play, like we have larger issues. So to me, that speaks to the fact there's something systemic that he's changed in that midfield that's not working right now. It doesn't mean it can't, but it's not working right now.
But at the same time, when you're the other team and you know this is what they want to do, you try to block that, which is fine, because then your counter punches, your center back sending those long balls to your, like, dangerous guys up top. I guess we're going back to the same thing about being clinical and being able to finish and stuff. My thing is, at the end of the day, you still get the goals one way or the other, whether it's 1 or 2 or whatever, you're getting the goals. And last year, those were enough, Gally, to get you the 3 points because you weren't leaking goals in the back. What do we have to change? Because I really don't think it's the personnel necessarily. What do we have to change? Because everybody is just changing people. And I do.
Yeah, Diaz in prime Mo last year.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you want to know what you have to change? If Mo Salah is going to be this version of Mo Salah, you need Jeremy Frimpong, because the best right wing play we've seen over the last 3 matches are the 8-minute cameos he was allowed to play.
Let me ask you that. Since you mentioned that, Gally, let me ask you that. How much
it was very good
should we put? Because I feel like sometimes as fans, you should kind of put some stock, but I feel like it gets overblown when a dude comes in, and obviously Chiesa is a huge victim of this, but, comes in the last 10, 15 minutes when it's, we're going all in, all the chips are in, we're going full force, and automatically the opposing team is leaning back a bit more. So it is a bit easier to be able to create and look better and stuff. So how much stock should we put in those 5 to 15 minutes cameos?
Are we talking about Frimpong specifically?
I'm talking about, like, in general, Frimpong, even like Wirtz and Chiesa and stuff like that. Because we've seen it where, I mean, like, let's go back to Divock Origi, for example, right? There are some players who can come in at the end and make an impact and change situations, but then they start 11. You're like, where is the 80th minute version of you? Because this is not it, kind of a deal.
Totally agree with that sentiment. My argument, the devil's advocate statement to that would be, give me Frimpong and Chiesa from the start, and then I'll let you know whether or not I can only judge them for the last 15 minutes. But the manager
to be fair, for example, Chiesa has never been able to do that.
Manager's not giving him that chance. Statistically, right now, as much as we love Ekitike and we've talked about all these other things, Gakpo scoring goals, you realize Gakpo scored yesterday and hit 3 posts, and I'd give him a 3 or less as a rating. I thought he was abysmal. And I know other people will say he was good. I thought he was absolutely trash. The best part he got was at some points when he finally realized, shit, Kirkhead is just coming. I got to get out of the way. He's going to make a run inside or out, and I got to give him the ball. I thought Gakpo was like in and out of the races yesterday. It didn't make any sense to me. I guess where I come from is this. If you if you look at statistically right now, the start of the season, minutes per shot attempt, goals, assists created, Chiesa is statistically our best offensive player across the entire campaign. You will not win anything if that's the case. But the fact that the manager still won't start him is what is the only reason I will side with the craziness of what's wrong with Arne Slot right now.
Yeah.
Because if you aren't willing to change and deviate from what's not working, I question whether or not you're willing to go to what will work. And I know it sounds stupid, but like, I will say this right now. If Federico Chiesa does not start at Frankfurt, they're literally Chiesa, Jones should be the first two names on the team sheet at Frankfurt.
And
it shouldn't even be a question. I mean, Jones should be the every match starter, in my opinion, in the midfield right now, along with, and the worst part is we haven't even talked about it. Gravenberch is hurt, and most people are saying he might miss a month. Where are we now? Like, that was an injury he came out on.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, hey, maybe that
worse.
It almost feels like, you know, the door doesn't open to somebody in form unless someone happens. Yeah, Shelton says too, I feel like Ekitike probably will get to like the Frankfurt lineup at the very end. I feel like Ekitike should probably be in there too, Jones and probably Frimpong. And I think we will see a lot of these. Chiesa is the big question mark. And I would like to see that just because I would like to see him get a chance with a lot of starters as opposed to be thrown out there in like a League Cup game with like nothing but backups kind of a situation.
I will just say it was nice though, once again, to see Chiesa play in that spot. Nobody thinks he can play, which is off the left-hand side where he cuts in and then creates the assist to score the goal. Like, this is once again, Chiesa comes in, we score our goal. When we scored that goal, can I ask both of you, did you not think we might just win the match 5-1? Because I did. I thought they were about to go on a run. Then 5 minutes went by and I went to Kazi. I'm going to the bathroom. I think we're in trouble. And honestly, I came out of the bathroom and the whole place was like a fucking morn. And at like a fucking viewing of a dead body. And I knew, oh, fuck.
Dude, how the hell do you not hold it for another 10 minutes is the main question now.
First of all, we had been there since 9 o'clock in the goddamn morning.
Yeah, that was a dumb question, dude.
And if you had sat through fucking what we sat through, I will say this, though.
Grab a bucket, bro.
If you guys had heard,
there's probably 24 reasons on that table why.
I got to say this right now. It was, and I will say, we were there 5 hours and we had a $455 bill. So that lets you guys know how hard the three of us hit it.
Oh, that we're definitely going back to Carragher's next year.
but I do want to say this. The best part of the whole thing was 20 minutes in, before we even get going, the Liverpool hasn't even happened yet. We're 20 minutes in, and Kazi looks dead-faced to Kelly across the table and goes, Kells. And she's like, I got a new name. He called her Kells all day. Kells, do you understand a word I'm saying? And she said, yes. Unlike some of these wives, I actually listen. And I couldn't understand you for a while. Now I just know you're talking shite. And I literally went, and he looked at me and he was like, she's the best woman in the world. Like, she literally called him out in the middle of all of it. And she was like, I kind of understand you. And she was entertained by it all, but it was a disappointment. And the biggest disappointment was, I don't think they cared about the reaction as much as all of us supporters did. We all went 2 weeks avoiding social media and avoiding podcasts to say, this is the perfect match to come back to.
Yes, it was.
Because this is the match that you show up for. And they gave up a goal in 62 seconds. And then on top of it, even when they got the thing level, they didn't have it in them to kick on. And it's arguably like the worst loss I can remember in like 3 or 4 years, and we lost 3 in the last week and a half. So that kind of blows my mind.
Well, to be fair, we haven't lost that many. I didn't think it was, I don't know. And I mean, I have to deal with Edip tomorrow and Rival Bros, so I might change my tune afterwards. But Solo, my man, is in the house. Frimpong was an immediate success when he came on, almost created a goal. And yeah, Federico is definitely Solo's guy. I think he should get an opportunity, but we'll talk about it. Let's talk about this real quick because Bob was talking about it earlier because it's a huge talk on Discord that I'm not even want to get into the reasons of the whole Klopp comeback thing because if you do invest, and you should invest. I mean, I love Klopp, and this is why I love him really, because out of the 2.5 hours, I mean, I don't know, maybe like 45 minutes or so is about actually Liverpool. A lot about it is, like his past before that and his management. Obviously, the podcast is about like managements and people management and stuff like that. And it's just kind of like listening to him talk about life and stuff and how he views people and stuff. That's what I really love about the dude more than anything else. So it's a great listen to. It's like 2.5 hours long. So make sure you reserve some time, but it is pretty darn awesome. Even my brother, because I sent it to my brother, and he's like, man, because he does like training sessions and stuff like that. He's like, I can get like 3 training sessions out of this one interview with some of the stuff he said in terms of like people management and all that. So him coming back, if you actually invest the time and listen to it, he basically said, God knows. It reminded me as I listened to him, Bickler, I was talking about this on Discord, like when I left like the retail management world, part of me afterwards missed some of the aspects, right? Like I missed the people management, dealing with people, like building careers, leader of man role and stuff like that. But then you think about it for 30 seconds, I'm like, yeah, I didn't miss it that much because it was a lot of shit that went with it. It feels like, yeah, he would love to do it as a part-time gig, but he knows it takes way too much energy that he doesn't have. So he's not coming anytime soon. And honestly, I didn't know the dude who does the interview is a United fan. And they talk, this is recorded before the United game. He's actually asking him a lot of questions. Definitely give it a listen about
United.
He thinks United. Yeah, what goes wrong with United and stuff like that. So it's definitely not going to happen. And that's only one of the reasons that Klopp is not ready to come back. But I can list you another 10 reasons aside from that. But let's get back to what would create the opening in the first place, Bickler, with the slots out thing, which reminds me of the Arteta out thing that people had, and we mocked Arsenal fans for it a couple of seasons ago. And I feel like Liverpool fans are acting like freaking Arsenal fans and Manchester United fans right now, asking for the manager's head.
We could be in a relegation battle in 2 months. He'll still be here. They're not going to move on from him mid-season. I don't even think if he had a bad year this year, they'd move from him on from him in the summer, given the investment they've had in the squad, given the, we talked about how careful they were with this hire and this selection and how long they've really been sort of vetting this decision out. This is not, I think this is what separates us from, like, there's a lot of things that separate us from the top teams, but I think this is what really separates us from like teams like United and Chelsea and Tottenham who rotate through these managers. And, I would rather be like this than be a Forest fan and just be at the whim of like an ownership who just has their finger on the eject button constantly.
Yeah, Solo says, I'm not slot out, but I want to see more. I agree. I want changes. I want improvement. I think we all do. But I feel like just based on 2-3 weeks worth of performance is like kind of like obnoxious to kind of like call for slots head already, regardless of the results. We have a really tough schedule coming up the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then after the international break, it becomes a lot easier. So it's just a matter of, I think, how we deal with this crisis. How much of it is slots? How much of it is in players who we always talk about mentality monsters? When we were winning those games early in the season, everything was hunky-dory. They were mentality monsters. The players, the coach, they just know how to win. 4 bad results in a row to give an exact freaking number. And now they don't know how to win. He's not good enough for the Premier League. He doesn't know how to coach. None of these guys can play. Yeah, it's really embarrassing seeing some of the shit on that. It really is. It's just like, that's why I avoided it as much as possible.
I love Jurgen Klopp. I appreciate everything he did for the club. Do you guys realize if we fired Jurgen Klopp the first 2 times he lost 4 matches in a row, he would have been out in 18 months and 36 months? He also lost 6 matches at once. We forget about it. 4 of them were at Anfield. Granted, there weren't supporters in the crowd, but like, we've had these bad runs. We had years where we finished out of the Champions League. Like, these were during the heightened days, the great days.
Yep.
And this is what I love. Like, it was 8 weeks ago we're going to win back-to-back league titles. And there were people out there saying it was going to be this way forever, right? Like, we're just going to win. We're going to win. And Slot's going to, change everything. And he's the greatest manager ever. Jurgen got us here and Slot took us to the top. I remember those talks in the summer and I was like, wow, that's really diminishing what Jurgen did. And now it's like, this guy's an absolute, and I don't want to steal the bald fraud line, but I might have heard it 150 times yesterday. This guy's a bald fraud, and therefore, get me my old manager back. Like the old manager who ran half the midfield into the ground and guys got hurt and nothing ever worked. And like, we don't talk about that, right? We only live in this revisionist world, and that's what sports fans do.
Yeah.
But the problem I have is to your point earlier, Tim, you were spot on. The first 5 matches, they were playing just as poorly as they have over the last 4. They just won them all. So we took the result and we said, mentality monsters, genius, the best they've ever been. And then we watch what they do. And my biggest problem isn't how the manager is setting up the side, because I think he's setting them up in a way to win. I think he's setting them up in a way to succeed. My biggest problem is the response that's happening on the pitch and the game awareness. So I don't want to hear about mentality monsters. We could have drawn 3 straight matches at 1-1.
Yes.
And had 3 more points in the bag right now. But we weren't willing to do it. And maybe that's the manager. Maybe that's the substitution patterns. But like, I have a bigger problem with what happened when the match went to 1-1 and how we responded in the City match, or I'm sorry, the Palace match, the Chelsea match, and this match against United. At some point, 1-1 has to be good enough when you're not playing well. And I don't know if maybe that is a mixed communication from the manager. Maybe it's substitution patterns. Maybe it's always coming from behind. But there's so much more to this that is a bigger and deeper rooted issue. And like, we didn't even get into McAllister, which I'm kind of happy about because the poor guy's been kicked as much as like anybody this year.
But he's already wearing a protective guard, so we stay clear. Yeah.
I mean, he does have I'm sure he's still wearing that wrap on the head. They absolutely need to find a midfield that will work for what they want to do going forward. And I know it's crazy, and I know they're, the Daras and other people will jump into this chat. And if my buddy, Chimu or whatever his name from the morning would be all over my ass, like, right? Like, what it comes down to is this side needs Curtis Jones more than it's ever needed him before. Because all Curtis Jones has done all year long is come on, and every single time he comes on, he's the best midfielder on the pitch, and that includes Dominic Szoboszlai at times. And the other thing that no one wants to talk about is Curtis Jones plays a lot with Florian Wirtz, and Florian Wirtz always looks better when he's playing with Curtis Jones. And Curtis Jones is Florian Wirtz's best mate in the entire side, other than Frimpong, who we know is like a brother. Like, they're close, and they look so good at times yesterday linking up. And at this point, in a side that has no partnerships, like that many partnerships, from our left back to Gakpo to our right backs.
Yes.
I mean, 7 of them, 7 different right backs. And I'm still going to die on the vine. I think Joe Gomez is still the best right back at the club right now. Should probably start the next
I think actually going back to what you're saying, I don't have a problem with us going for it when it's 1-1, because I think, we talked about this before. I think when I think it was the Palace game or whatever, but that's the way to win. I mean, you have to go after it. I think what happens is what you're saying, the substitution patterns, like in the Chelsea game, by the time we tied it up, we didn't have any defenders. Like, midfield was playing defense and stuff like that. So to get there, we do these crazy substitutions where suddenly you're so unbalanced, anything can freaking happen. I think is more like it. I don't have a problem with them being aggressive and going after it. I honestly don't agree with the fact that this team is set up to succeed. Maybe on paper it is, Bickler. I just feel like you're relying on certain people you have a plan. For that plan to work, you're relying on certain people to perform in a certain way. When you know that guy is not in that form or is not capable of doing that now, whether it's McAllister or Gravenberg or whoever in midfield, I think you just like setting it up to fail when you still plan on it because you're not getting it over and over and over again. That's where I worry and say, when are you going to? And I don't want to be one of these guys who are like, when is he going to get a chance and stuff? It's not about chances. Either you change that plan to kind of say, okay, well, Mac can't do this as much anymore, so we're going to have to do it this way. Or you put somebody else over there like Jones and say, well, let's see if he can do what I want out of this game plan.
Yeah, I mean, this is where the manager is going to earn it this year. I think, for me, it's like we go back to the way that this team has won games in the past. And I don't think in
Good point.
this league, I don't know that you can have a front three of where your wingers are Mo and Gakpo both. Because I think, like, to me, like, you got two players. Mo is the one that can create the most magic on the pitch at any given time, just based off sheer ceiling, right? I think he's lost the ability to sort of take players on and beat them on sheer pace. But the problem is that Cody Gakpo, for all intents and purposes, has been the most consistent and reliable chance creator in the side. And the problem with that is that you have a guy that's doing that the best of anybody in the side, and he's probably the biggest tactical misfit in the front three.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have, like, you can't play the system and you can't play this in the EPL and have a front three that devoid of pace. Like neither one of those players are taking players on. They don't scare anybody on the respective fullback sides.
Yeah.
So teams can just cheat the middle.
But isn't that's why, like, I get that. And when you say that, and
like,
when
how many
I hear
games
that, all I can think it is, where do you have speed? You have speed on your left back, right back, pulling,
and your fullbacks
up as an overlap. So, one of them you're not even playing. Like, we've bought all the speed and agility in summer, it felt like, and we're not using it. Like, we're not capitalizing on it. Is like the frustrating part.
Go ahead, Paul.
I was just going to say the two players that consistently come in and change matches aren't players that he's going to pick consistently. And that's the really frustrating thing. And it's been the kid, it's been Rio and it's been Chiesa. Those are
and Rio hasn't played in 4 matches and we lost all of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this
having said all that, Frankfurt.
Well, this is what I would say, Tim. I just want to say real quick, and it'll lead into Frankfurt. I honestly believe, and this is going to be painful for people to hear, I think the person who is the most excited for AFCON to happen is Arne Slot. Because I think he is looking forward to an AFCON period where he doesn't have to play and or placate to what Mo Salah is doing well or isn't doing well and answer questions about it. Because I think we will see some variations during that 5-week period. And I think some of those variations will be the forward future, which is a 4-4-2 with 4 midfielders, 2 attackers that are our best 2 attacking players, and neither of them is named Gakpo, and bombing fullbacks that create the width and the space.
Yeah.
And I think it is the future of what we're going to. And I think the manager bought these players now, and he's struggling with trying to figure out how to play all these players and Florian Wirtz, where Mo Salah is still the most important person. Except for in some ways, over these 8 games, Mo Salah's proven to us he's no longer the most important person. And I think that is where the manager is actually excited about this break, because I think it's what allows him. And don't be shocked if the second half of this season, we see more of Mo Salah like coming off the bench, and then all the rumors about this is his last year and he's on his way out. Let's not go there. I wasn't trying to go there. But I would argue right now, this team has gotten better in 4 of the last 6 matches when Mo Salah has been subbed off or hasn't started from the jump. And that's a scary world to be in when he makes as much money as he does, because you need that guy if you're going to win the honors you want to win. But I think the manager is excited about it. I'm sorry to jump ahead of the Frankfurt comment, but
no, I think that we talked about that this
though.
morning. It just felt like a lot of these moves made in the summer were kind of like designed to build a post-Mo world, right? It's like a post-Mo squad and stuff like that. Yeah. And now we might be getting there. Maybe like this is what Slot wanted. Like, well, we got to make some changes kind of a deal, and we might get there a bit faster. I think you bought these pieces for building that squad, but you still have the guy, and with the wages and obviously what he can normally do on a regular basis in the past, what he's done, you have to create a space for him, and it doesn't all kind of work at the moment. But Frankfurt is a good chance for some of these guys to make case for themselves. I don't know how much these midweek games make a case, but Bickler, we'll start with you. Give me your starting 11 to go up against Frankfurt, who is very good going forward, by the way. They have that Turkish kid, John Uzun, who's really freaking good. Actually, he's like a young kid. But I only saw them in the Galatasaray game. But defensively, they're not all that.
Yeah, I always struggle with this because I always want more rotation than I know we're gonna see. I think it'll be I'll go Robbo left back. I'll go Van Dijk and Konate in the center. I just feel like they're gonna start. I don't love it. But I think that's what's gonna happen. I'll go Frimpong fullback. I'm gonna do a midfield of Jones, Wirtz, and Soboslai. It's just what makes sense to me. And then up top, I'm gonna go. I think Mo's gonna start. I think Mo's gonna start everything until his legs come off. And I'm gonna put him up there with Rio and Ekitike.
Wow,
I like it.
I love the Rio
to be there instead of Mo, but I hear what Bickler is saying. Where are you at?
I love the Rio shout. I think it should be Chiesa on the left and Ekitike through the middle. I wouldn't be shocked if Frimpong starts on the right. For the plain fact that I think the manager is starting to not starting Mo at Galatasaray was kind of the laying down the lumber that there are matches you're not going to start, especially when we're playing 3 in 7 days and 7 in 21. If we really care more about the Premier League and we have more leeway in the Champions League, though this is a very big 3 points to avoid the playoff round for sure, if we want to advance. This would be a spot that would make sense, especially coming off that. And I know we can all talk about, Mo could have had a goal and 2 assists. He also could have just fucking tapped one in with his right foot, but he doesn't have a right foot attached to him, so he kicked it to the corner flag. And then with his left foot from the 3-yard line, he decided to kick it into the top of the cop. So I struggle with this. The biggest move for me would be I would start Gomez at the back. I'd give him a shot, because if you're not going to play Gomez in this form with all these matches, what is he even still doing here? And the funniest part is I feel like Joe Gomez has been waiting for his chance to get a shot to take a run at a starting center back role. Yet all Liverpool supporters want to do is be like, man, if Leone hadn't got hurt, we'd be screaming for Leone to be starting right now. Like, we saw 50 minutes of him. He looked great. He's tall. He's crisp. He's Italian. He's good looking. But Joe Gomez has done this and won a Premier League title. He has the awards, all the medals. And he can pass the ball out from the back. He can help you build from the back. That's what he does well.
That's why I feel like he should be. I don't like, him as right back, because you're not, with not till January where you can get another center back, because you don't want to throw 3 center backs out there and get one of them hurt. You need some kind of a backup over there. So I understand why he's not used as right back, just in case kind of an ordeal. But man, I feel like he should get his chance. But there's something to be said about, do you play these guys until they get into form or they win together and start building some confidence? And I think that's a good one for a debate club.
Just play Florian Wirtz.
Both ways.
Can you just play Florian Wirtz? Because in every match, and I said this at the weekend, I said to Kazi, he said, what are you looking for today? And before the match, I said, you know what I'd really love? Them not to need to make a sub at 45 minutes. For once, I just want them to not need to make a sub at 45 minutes. Then I watched that first half and I said, can they sub 11 players at 45 minutes?
I feel like, it comes I feel like he's talked about this, right? We expect teams to do something and, they do something else kind of a deal. But I mean, it makes me feel like, I'm not everybody in the chat right now or anybody listening might not be an American football fan, but just go to the line of scrimmage with 2 freaking plays for once, right? So that, if you see something else, you call the other one. If you see this, you call this one. There should be an audible that you can go to without making freaking subs and pulling Soboslai here and everybody moving around and stuff like that. There has to be an audible that you can go to right away. Hey, we're going to go out there with this plan.
Do you want to make a tactical tweak without a line change? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, we laugh about it and we talk about it kind of tongue in cheek, but literally,
I'm serious.
This is a manager who last year we heralded for not just his starting lineups, but for grabbing a hold of any match and making a substitution to make a change.
Yeah.
And he did it a couple times early, but I think it was papering over the cracks, to steal one of the people's comments earlier. Like, it was papering over the cracks of how poorly they were starting, that he'd bring in players to make impacts in the second half. It wasn't great managing. It really wasn't. It was making up for mistakes.
See, I thought with the first season, Gally, I mean, I feel like, okay, that's good managing because he was new to the Premier League, but he can adjust, right? I took it as that and as a plus.
I think we were all just happy there was a sub before the 85th.
Yeah, there were actually subs before the 85th minute.
Yeah.
The bar was already pretty low.
That is fair. I mean, we did see 11 players consecutively for 37 consecutive Premier League matches.
Okay,
meanwhile, now those legs are still hurting.
Score predictions. Bickler, we'll start with you.
Let's go 3-0. I'm feeling dicey with the clean sheet. Yeah.
Ooh, that is playing with fire. Gally, what do you
I was going to say I'm going to be nice and say we're going to win 3-2, but it's probably going to be 5-4 because this team scores and gives up chances, which doesn't bode well for a team that only gives up chances right now. But I'm going to stay true with us. I think we win 3-2. It's KG. We get the 3 points we need. If we don't get these 3 points, it gets real ugly Thursday morning.
Yeah.
Even a draw.
I'm calling in sick. I go with a 4-2. I think it's a crazy game, high scoring game. Calling for a clean sheet right now is risky business. I go for a 4-2. Brian, that's not something to be proud of, by the way.
I would never agree with that. And I'm not going to even acknowledge that we're thinking alike, because you want to throw down a goalkeeper that you thought was never going to play for this club. And you told me earlier tonight, he looks like Simon Mignolet, which basically means the Thursday night podcast is just trying to run this fucking giant out of the fucking city before.
I think so. I can't wait for the Thursday night podcast. I did make a point to hop on there just to remind Brian Shelton that he said Mamardashvili would never play. But that's it for us this week. Tomorrow night, Mateusz will be with the panel, and I'll be back Wednesday morning. Obviously, we'll have the game festivities this week as well. So do tune in for that. If you have not done so already, please subscribe. And if you have not done so already, go grab a friend and drag their butts over here to subscribe as well. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care.